It's been a while since my Mustang has had some love, so it's time to do an assessment. So I've got it on a lift here. I'm going to go underneath and just check all underneath the carriage there and see, are there anything that's leaking? Is there anything that's rubbing? Is there anything that looks off or deteriorating? And so then I can make a good list and then check those things off one by one and get it back on the road. One of the things I need to address, it's a small thing, is the battery. First thing is my Mustang battery is a little drained, so I need to take it off and test the charge on it. Other thing is this negative battery cable is completely trashed, so I definitely want to replace this. And then just in general, I need to tie the battery down from on those road trips. The other thing I want to do is I want to drain and refill my coolant. Now, in 2019, I had a coolant leak, added some new coolant after I fixed the lower radiator hose. Honestly, I really don't know where this mixture is at, and it breaks down over time, so definitely want to freshen that up. Another thing I discovered upon assessment is a valve cover gasket leak. Now you can see all the way back in the corner how wet that is there. At first, I thought it was coming from the lower part of the engine, but upon tracking it, I realized that it's actually coming up here, and that's pretty common because obviously with gravity, everything's gonna flow down to the bottom. So luckily, this isn't too big a deal. I just got to take all that off, clean off the old gasket, and get new ones on there. Looking at the car underneath here, things are in pretty good shape, but there are some things that need some work. One of the things I noticed right away was this motor mount, and it's definitely disintegrating and something I should look at replacing. Now, as I walk towards the rear of the car here, I noticed right away there's a leak here on the speedometer cable, so that's going to need to be addressed. Definitely going to want to replace that. I'm going to have to source a good cable for that. One of the things that's really interesting here under the Mustang, I don't know if you've noticed, but this exhaust is an interesting installation. I would say it's definitely custom. And they really kind of waved it around to kind of keep it snugged up under the car here. Now, there's nothing really wrong with it. It looks like it's in good shape. So it's just something I would consider replacing at some point. All right, what else do we have here? One of the things I did notice is the brake hose is rubbing against the tailpipe. This is a major problem because the tailpipe is super hot and that will cause some brake fade. So I definitely need to reroute that hose. I noticed that there's some leaking, some fluid here. It could be a couple different things. Now, I noticed that there's a little spray right here, lines, tracks on the tire. So that could be brake fluid. The other thing that this could be is the axle seal. So basically I need to take this apart and investigate and see if there's a potential leak going on in here. And lastly, but definitely not least, my tires. Oh my goodness, you can see how worn these are. Now this is from not rotating them, shame on me, and also it gives some indication that my alignment's out. So tires and alignment are at the top of the list for my Mustang. It's always important to do a thorough assessment of your vehicle and really get a good idea of everything on the list so you can prioritize what needs to happen first. I got a long list, so I gotta get started.